If you have a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes this show great, and we thrive on your energy and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Now, if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead and let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We have to start off with Liverpool victory over Chelsea. Liverpool get a 2-1 victory over Chelsea. Goals coming from Mohamed Salah from the penalty mark in the 29th minute. Then Nicholas Jackson equalizing 48th minute, getting in behind that Liverpool's defense, but shortly followed by Curtis Jones' goal in the 51st minute that ended up being the winner essentially. There's different elements to this game. I think this game was overall a really good game. Really good game to watch. I thought both teams, went for it. Chelsea went for it. I thought Liverpool were balanced in their approach, but there was periods that Liverpool, that showed signs. I thought Liverpool, especially near that end of that first half, that 10-15 minutes before the first half ended, before the halftime whistle, that they were really dominating the game, and they were taking advantage of that crowd. They drew the penalty in that period. They had a few more opportunities that they could have, that the referee could have given them a potential second penalty. In fact, one was whistled originally, but VAR came in. And Liverpool, they were playing that game in Chelsea's half for that period, and they really dominated and had a good level of sustained pressure for that period. But other than that, I do have to say, I thought Chelsea overall controlled the game, and they had a very, very solid and composed, in my opinion, composed performance. And they despite their determination and their effort, Liverpool was able to squeak out the 2-1 win, narrow 2-1 win. But I do have to say, I think Chelsea, if you're a Chelsea fan, if you're Enzo Maresca, or you're this, you're a player on this Chelsea team, I think you're coming out of this game more confident with the belief we can compete with the best of the best. We can go away in the in one of the hardest atmospheres to play in Europe, let alone the Premier League, and we can compete, and we've proven that we can have composure in these moments. And in my opinion, you told me this before the season started, I did not think the development of Chelsea will get to where it is today, where we are today, this fast. Did not believe it. If you told me 2 months ago that Chelsea would have come into Liverpool and they would control the game and they would be they would, put Liverpool, especially in that second half, on the back foot, and they made Liverpool the team that looked like, that they were pragmatic at Anfield, I would have never believed it. I would not have believed it. I thought Enzo Maresca, I think what Enzo Maresca has done with this Chelsea team, he has them playing with the belief. They have a tactical approach on how they want to go about it. And obviously there are still some weaknesses. Nicholas Jackson, he got on the score sheet, but I don't think he is the number 9 for, a Chelsea team. The way this Chelsea team is looking right now, this is looking like a team that, is going to try to compete next season for potential a trophy or two. That's what I'm thinking now with the way that they've started off this season and some of the performances we've seen. But in my opinion, I think Nicholas Jackson is not quite at that level. That'll be obviously Robert Sanchez as well. The goalkeeping, the striking position is something that is still an issue with this Chelsea team. But overall, I think the other negative performance, or negative you would have to take from this Chelsea game, would be Cole Palmer's performance. Now, Cole Palmer, he is, we know what he is, and he's been such a, great player for Chelsea since he came in. But he does have games here and there where he doesn't get involved at all, and you forget the fact that he's playing. And in this sort of a game, in this atmosphere, going up against Liverpool at Anfield, being down late, you need your magic man to be able to come out with a moment of magic or to do something. He barely got on the ball in dangerous areas. He was nowhere to be seen. He was almost moaning around, going through the motions. And Cole Palmer is a type of player where he doesn't get involved. If he's not involved through plenty of the game, it kind of affects, at least based on what you see from his body language, it looks really, really poor. And that's something I thought was very, very disappointing. And it doesn't happen as often, but there are certain games in which Cole Palmer, the games that he doesn't have his strongest games are basically no-shows. He has to develop this sort of consistency, and even in games that is not the best of games, he's still able to produce that one or two moments that can completely change the game. And that's something, whenever his performance in general is not at a good level, and maybe the confidence in the game is shot, it seems like he's almost disinterested based on the body language. Now, you can't tell what's going on in his head and any of that, or in his heart. But just based on the body language, just based on how it looks like he's just going through the motions, I was really disappointed with Cole Palmer's performance. I do have to say, Chelsea, they had issues as well with fullbacks, with injuries. Malo Gusto, he was slotted in at left back after returning for injury, and Kukurea missing the game due to suspension, which allowed Reece James to get his position back at right back, which I'm a little surprised that Reece James started this game. He hasn't played football in 7 million years, and he started a game going away to Anfield. I thought there was an opportunity for Enzo Maresca to ease him in. And look, I thought Reece James overall played a solid game. When you take in the fact that it is his first game back from injury, didn't get much involved in terms of attacking play. I do have to say, I thought he neutralized Cody Gakpo. I expected Cody Gakpo playing on the left-hand side, going up against Reece James that hasn't played football in, however long. That would be an emphasis for how Liverpool wanted to get at this Chelsea back line. But I was underwhelmed with Cody Gakpo. I didn't think he took on, Reece James enough one-on-one. We know what Cody Gakpo could be, taking on players one-on-one, cutting in onto his favorite right foot. We didn't see much of that. I thought Reece James did a really solid job there. He did play on Curtis Jones on that second goal, which is some cohesion issues with the back line. Keep in mind, Reece James, he's never played. Was Tosin Adarabioyo. He's probably had, very minimal game time with Levi Colwill as well. So it's a work in progress. And obviously the most important thing for him is, his availability. That is always the most important thing. Liverpool, they opted to rest McAllister, Luis Diaz, and they put in Curtis Jones and Cody Gakpo. I thought Curtis Jones also played a really, really good game from midfield. He got that goal, and it just shows that this Liverpool team has depth. When you're able to, when you're missing key players in this game, in my opinion, McAllister, Luis Diaz, and Alisson. These are huge, huge, huge key players for this team, and Liverpool were able to, still get the result. It shows the depth of them. And also the thing with Liverpool that I was also impressed with, in my opinion, now playing this game at Anfield and not dominating and not playing Chelsea out. Yes, it's not what we expect, especially what we've seen from years past with Jurgen Klopp. But I think in certain title races or in certain moments, the way that Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, have a strict way of going about it, that heavy metal football, that 99 miles per hour, no matter what sort of football, I think in certain moments that could get you, in trouble and potentially caught out in certain moments. We see how City, they've had this domination, I believe 5 Premier Leagues in the last 6 years. But collectively, I don't know. No, let me not speak for everyone, but at least for me, they're very boring to watch because of how safe they are. And how safe they are and how precise everything is and how almost robotic everything is. Because to have the sort of consistency and dominance that Man City has, you have to play a perfect game. You cannot make any mistakes, and it's risk-free football, and it's a specific way of going about it. And sometimes it makes it look robotic and boring to watch, but it's efficient. I think something that Liverpool has missed in Jurgen Klopp era is they don't have that, robotic, boring nature to them. Every game is 99 miles, high flying, pressing from the front foot, playing a really, really high line and playing the game in the opposition's half. I think now with Arne Slot at Liverpool, this team is able to play with a more balanced and control, and there's certain moments that they'll be comfortable being on the back foot, that they're comfortable defending, that they're comfortable playing the game in their own half and allowing and soaking up pressure and breaking off that. That's something that we don't really see from Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, and it's something that we're going to have to adapt to because Arne Slot and Jurgen Klopp are two different managers. And I think Arne Slot will be okay with not being the dominant team, minute in, minute out. Now, obviously, he has his way of playing, and it's not a pragmatic style. It's not, we're not talking about Diego Simeone ball. But it's also different from Jurgen Klopp's 99 miles per hour from minute 1 to minute 90. It's a little bit more balanced, and they'll be able to dominate the game in certain stretches and against worse opposition. But when they need to, even playing at home at Anfield, they're comfortable in not being comfortable. They're comfortable in trying to see it out, defending really, really well, and trying to get whatever they can on the counter and closing up the blocks and making it tight to break them down. I think when you're watching that game as a Liverpool fan, you might be a little underwhelmed because of, how Chelsea were able to control the game, for that entire second half, essentially. But at the same time, you can see this as a plus going forward because I think Liverpool, and now with their balanced approach, I think that gives them a better chance to compete for the title than they did have last year with Klopp, because this team, last year, they just looked like they were hanging on with how that they were playing. They just looked like they were hanging on. This team, this season so far, Liverpool, this team does not look like a team that's hanging on. This team is playing better football than we've seen last season. They're looking more comfortable in games. They're not relying on last-minute goals to get them out of jail. And they have a good balance of being able to dominate games. And then, honestly, they haven't played really difficult opposition so far this season. First, difficult test that they were able to see it out. And in my opinion, I'm very, very impressed, and I believe Liverpool are firmly in the title race. I had a little bit of hesitation, before the season putting them in there, and even throughout the early stretch because I wanted to see more and more. But no, this Liverpool team is definitely a team that can compete. No doubt about that in my mind. Show break here coming up. When we come back, we will do a full preview of last season's Champions League final.